many singles who are in our community and here on YouTube have been asking us to share more things about the beauty of deeply connected marriage.
Because
Because,
most of the marriages you might be seeing around you aren't all that inspiring and motivating
yeah.
sometimes.
And so we all have seen marriages that have been disconnected or they seem to have it all together and yet um, they get divorced or they are not showing the things or actions that the singles actually find attractive. So a lot of singles that we've met, and it was us as well when we were singles, we were afraid to be married because we felt like marriage is a trap. Marriage is something that you are losing independence
And you're gonna have to
and
settle down and have a
yeah,
boring life. And
right. And now you need to submit, and then you are losing your dreams, and you can't follow your calling anymore. It's just, we've seen so much of it, and not only in the world, but also in church. And it's kind of disheartening, and a lot of singles feeling that they can't really trust couples either because they are not seeing too much difference between the world and the church marriages. And it's been kind of heavy on our hearts too, to come and actually share that marriage is beautiful. And when we talk about that, sometimes it takes time for singles to trust that statement. And so they ask us to share more things because in our community, they see who we are. When they meet us in person, they see who we are and how our marriage is. And again, we're not perfect. We're always in the process of growing and learning.
well, there's one key defining factor that I've noticed in couples with great marriages versus those that don't,
Yeah.
that appear to have it all together and make it look like everything's beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
is tune in to the energy you feel around them.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody really has legitimate, genuine connection,
Yeah.
you feel drawn to them. You feel safe. There's a
Mm-hmm.
certain degree of peace and confidence
Yeah.
around those couples. You can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You can sense it, and you see the fruit,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels real.
Yeah.
You can't fake that.
Yeah.
That's the part I'd like to highlight. And then, I think it'd be a good time to get into, well, what does it look like to get married to somebody where you don't have to lay down your dreams, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even your hobbies.
Yeah.
I laid down some hobbies before, leading up to getting married. And now that I'm married, I have the opportunity to pick up certain hobbies in a new, fresh way with a new perspective. But guess
Mm-hmm.
what? More likely than not, I get to do it with her.
Yeah.
So, for quick example, I won't go off on a tangent, but just touch on it briefly. Always had a passion with aquatic life, anything to do with water, fish. I love it. Oh man, just drop me off in the middle of the water and I'm happy. Or
Mm-hmm.
at an aquarium. And we've gone to enough aquariums, and you discovered that you really enjoy it too, and you would love to see a reef aquarium in our home someday and enjoy and
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that. Where probably it didn't even really cross your mind back before you met me. So
Yeah.
there's the thing of when your mission's in alignment.
Yes.
Your mission is alignment, your vision for life is similar, and you
And your
build.
views.
Yeah, and when that's the case, you're
Mm-hmm.
also likely to be building the same thing together in
Mm-hmm.
the world of business,
Mm-hmm.
to where you're not going to be on two different careers going in
Mm-hmm.
opposite directions. That's
Mm-hmm.
a recipe for disaster for many that we've seen. It's very, very challenging to connect deeply and stay connected if your missions and careers are going in opposite different directions. You have to work at it a lot harder. It's not that
Yeah.
it can't work. You're just gonna have to work at it a lot more intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
But when your mission's in alignment,
Yes.
you can do things together. Instead of, oh, I don't want to get married because I want to do X, Y, Z while I still have my freedom. Well, okay, that sounds good on paper.
It
But
does.
what if you could find somebody who would love to do those things with you?
Yeah.
And okay, so maybe you like bike riding or racing. Well, I mean, okay, this is a crazy one, but what if you met a woman or a guy, whatever, whichever gender you are, that loves that too,
Mm-hmm.
and would be supportive and cheering you on, or even doing it with you? Who knows?
Yeah.
I remember this one couple. I was watching YouTube videos of these. They put on these wingsuits. They jump
Mm-hmm.
off cliffs,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they call it base jumping, and they glide through the air and then pull a chute to
Mm-hmm.
land. And they do these crazy, risky things. I'm like, oh my, it's like, whoo. I mean, skimming past rock walls and going through the eye of a needle rock formation at
Mm-hmm. Sounds
over
scary.
100 miles an hour, like, and this husband wife team that were doing that, and a couple of their friends have already gotten killed. And they
Mm-hmm.
realized that one of them could get killed doing this, but they're doing it and they love it, and they're famous for what they do, so they win competitions, and so they kind of earn their living doing this crazy wild. Not that
Yeah.
I would want to do this myself. I would recommend you do it unless you want to. Let's That's your thing.
Yeah.
But they're happy.
Yeah.
Amazing marriage. They recognize that one or both of them could get killed doing this, but that if they're gonna die, this is how they'd want to go. I'm like, okay, to each his own, but paints a great picture of being on the same mission,
Right.
doing your fun things together. Whatever you're
Yeah.
building or creating
We
or
see
designing.
we see a lot of that in athletes.
Hmm.
If they are competing in some sports and they meet each other doing that together, it's very successful and they can encourage each other. They can be on the same mission together. So the number one thing is to be on the same mission and vision. Doesn't have to be doing same careers. You don't need to do exact same thing as long as you are focusing together towards
At the very
the
least,
vision.
one or the other is going to be very, very super supportive of the other
Right.
to help make that dream happen. I know
Yes.
Grant Cardone's a great, is a real estate guru, and his wife is very supportive of him doing what he does to the point where she delights and embraces her role as taking care of the home front so her husband can be out there fighting battles and
Yeah.
crushing it
Which is
in the real
focused.
estate business in God's kingdom. They're believers.
Yeah, but that's focusing on the same mission
Hmm.
and you just in different roles to
Yes,
fulfill that
but
mission.
they're both on the same mission still.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So what I'm saying is that you're not in the same career necessarily, but on the same mission, right? We have like even for us, we are doing the same business, yet you do a certain role
Hmm.
or certain roles, and I'm doing certain roles. We're not doing exact same things, yet we're contributing to the same mission.
Yeah.
So the other things that we discover and we started this when we were singles, is create habits to have a connection routine. We call them sanctuary practices or Epic 30 now, that it only takes 30 minutes in the morning to do together. And it includes, if you have your coffee right there, maybe one or two coffees that you do in the morning, instead of reading news and, what's going on in the world, you create the connection routine.
Kind of like if you have daily devotions with God,
Mm-hmm.
also have daily devotions
With each
with
other.
each other, towards each other, and for
Yeah.
each other to connect with each other daily,
Mm-hmm.
purposefully, intentionally, like you do with God. I
Yeah.
know it sounds kind of it might be a little bit boxy for some of you,
Mhm.
but it's a habit that you want to establish, and then it
Yeah.
bleeds out into everyday life as a
Yes.
natural
Mm-hmm.
byproduct because it's a muscle you've exercised, so it starts coming naturally to do it spontaneously too.
You know, I think we should include a link in our description that will lead you to that video where we describe what we do, because that is extremely powerful. Those couples that do it together, they have beautifully, deeply connected marriages, and they are prone to resolve things quicker. And there's appreciation, empowerment of each other. And you express also your gratitudes towards each other. And you uh, I don't know, go deeper into each other dreams,
Mhm.
right? And remind each other of your dreams. So there's so much in that practice. So we'll include the link. So go click below there and then you'll find it.
But it really comes down to uh, really identifying the things that you do to get
Mm-hmm.
married are the very same things that you have got to continue doing in order to maintain an epic marriage.
Yes. Which
So,
reminds me, date nights.
yeah, intentional date nights. You just don't relax and stop doing the very things you were doing
Mm-hmm.
before you got married. Keep on doing it. Continue. And even in the midst of trials and tribulations, like
Mm-hmm.
these past 2 weeks for us were a little bit uprooted for us because Irina's father passed away out in
Yeah.
California. And so we were out there for 2+ weeks and working remotely the best we could in the midst of
Mm-hmm.
grief and, dealing with a lot of logistics and things
Yes.
that needed to be taken care of. And
Mm-hmm.
we still made time for that morning connection routine between us because it's then when you have the least amount of time is when it becomes triple
Mm-hmm.
important, triple the importance to do it. Because
Yeah.
that's when you really need to stay connected, is when you least
Mm-hmm.
have time for it.
Yeah. Is that knowing what you want,
Yeah.
right?
Not knowing
Because,
what you want, that leads to a lack of clarity and confusion and
yeah.
doubts and fears.
So the other thing that healthy marriage has is accountability with others. We are part of a community of married couples that we check in weekly because we don't want to be prideful of what we have and what we create.
We're not islands unto ourselves.
Yeah, and we want to be, open as well, and for others to speak into our lives. If they see something that we need to work on, we want to be quick to recognize those things and be like, oh, wow, thank you so much. We didn't see that because we're so close to what we're doing and each other. Another couple might recognize that. And again, we are not accountable to everyone. We're accountable to those who have results that we desire and want as well. And we're all growing. So teachable and coachable is another thing that we
Yeah. And
um,
if you're teachable,
talk
coachable,
about.
it's a given that you're probably humble too.
Hmm. The women, when they empower their spouses, their husbands, and husbands also empower their wives or love their wives, so being intentional about things, we create a marriage that we desire for
We
ourselves.
didn't just get lucky and
Yeah, it's a daily decision, it's a daily creation. And then we have a lot of couples around us that are doing the same for their marriage,
now
how they want to
when
have
when
it.
people consider our marriage as a unicorn or we just got lucky or we just happened to
Hmm.
ran we just hit the jackpot. What they're really indicating is releasing themselves from the responsibility of doing what it takes to create that for themselves, or they
Mm,
don't believe that they
that's
could,
good.
or they don't know how to. And so that's
Yeah.
their only language. They know how to process
Hmm.
the fact that good marriages do exist and that
Yeah.
it is possible.
I would love for you to comment below if you are married and you have a deeply connected marriage, what do you do to keep your marriage great? Would love to see because we created certain habits and you might have something that we might want to add to our habits as
Maybe
well.
we could learn some from our listeners.
Yes. And or if you're a single person and you say, you know what? I've seen this in another couple and I'm not sure what they do, or if you do know what they do, let
I
us
used to
know.
do that. I'd watch the married couples that had certain character traits that I
Yeah.
liked and appreciated, and I would note, okay, that's something I want in my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And they all had something, an element that I wanted, and I'd always take note and I'd, you know,
Put it in the
watch,
pocket,
watch and
huh?
study and put it in my back pocket. I'd
Yeah.
like to create that element.
So yeah, please comment. We do read your comments and we really appreciate them. And also, if you want us to bring other couples to interview them, to ask them questions, to show you other couples that have great marriages and continue conversations. If there are questions that you have about marriage and a partnership, please comment below. We would love to give you more in this as well so that you can be encouraged and that you will have hope that marriage is good. It's fun to be married, especially when you have a best friend
Mhm.
and your
Basically, you
spouse.
just marry your best friend and you stay best friends.
Hmm. That's right. And you can do life together, and it's so much more fun to do things with your best friend than to do it alone.
That's right. That I don't have anything to add to that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, be blessed, and we look forward to connecting with you in the next video.